Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, and it says we're live, but
It
we're
says
not.
we're live. It says
but
we're good to go.
Okay, but it's not live on my screen. So
It's live on mine. It looks as though we're there.
no, okay. So to anybody that's, oh, this is interesting because it hasn't gone live on mine. But click to join.
There you go.
The event will start soon. Wait for the hosts to start. So, as I say, this is why looking at the screen, you can end up looking at the screen all the time, checking what's going on,
Yeah.
and everybody gets confused. If anybody's joined us to start with, thank you very much for joining. We're going to start in probably a minute or 2 minutes to give other people a chance to join. I've got my guest James, and we're just going to talk for literally a minute or two, and then we'll go into it and start. But I will officially start the proceedings. We're just having a chat. So James, tell us about your martial arts experience, your new venture.
Yeah, that's right. Panic everybody coming onto the call and make it look as though or sound as though I have a clue what I'm about to talk about, which I do not. No, for those of you who obviously weren't privy to Michael's discussion with me earlier on, he was asking about hobbies. And I used to do a little bit of boxing and stuff, not a huge amount, but a bit. And then I've had a big gap and stupidly decided to start doing jiu-jitsu.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's very, very hard. And I already feel a broken man in many different ways, shapes and forms, mentally, physically, even after just a couple of weeks. But it's brilliant. It's really good. And it goes way beyond, obviously, I say the obvious of just rolling around on a mat with people between 17 and 70 years old, handing your backside to you on a plate every week you go. So
Okay, well, no, thanks for sharing that. I'm now going to start. So to everybody that's watching, thank you very much for watching. Whether you're watching live, that's really great. If you're watching the recording later, I'm going to introduce my colleagues, James, in a couple of minutes, but I'm going to introduce myself and introduce you to what we're doing. And firstly, I'm Michael Beale. I'm a NLP trainer, NLP coach trainer. I work around the world doing one-to-one, mostly on Zoom. I'm also Marshall Goldsmith, stakeholder leader and team coach. And I have three sort of main hobbies, one of which is to use LinkedIn better, which this is a part of. The second one, I'm really fascinated on AI, how as individuals we can use AI, and also how companies can use AI, because I think companies are going to find it a little bit more of a challenge than they currently think. But those are things I'm interested in, I'm sort of excited about. One of the things that I'm lucky in doing what I'm doing, I work with some great clients, and some of my clients have great friends, and they introduce me to them, and that's where James is here, because for these LinkedIn Lives, I really like to talk to people that I think are doing something different that fits into the learning space and will help us enjoy, thrive in the future, whatever it is. Before I hand it over to James, just a couple of other things. If you've got any questions, please put them in the thread of this post, and we guarantee we will answer them later. I've learned from doing these LinkedIn Lives, I rather focus on my guest and the experience we're giving than looking at other screens, because I find that it sort of doesn't work for me. Later on, we may do that, but I guarantee that if you do put a question in the thread, one or two of us will absolutely answer it. Now, the reason I'm interested in today's session is because, as I say, I'm interested in people improvement in the wider sphere. And I think James has come up with a platform or experience which sort of does three things. It's very good at helping people become more accountable, and I think that's useful for everybody. It's very good at helping people develop a community, and it's very good also for particularly coaches, but other people to scale what they're doing. So building on that, who do I think, and James will give us his views, who I think is the target market is really individuals, anybody that wants to improve what they're doing, organizations that want to help their people improve what they're doing, but also almost between their coaches that are sort of, it enables them to improve their business and to scale it. So James, if I can ask you the first question, please, just as I have, introduce yourself just to give people a feel about you and very top level.
Yeah, just very quickly, but first of all, thank you, Michael, for having me on. So James Wallace, I am the CEO and founder of a new concept called 100% Club. My background ranges from delivering behavioural change programs to groups of offenders in the probation service and to leading high growth sales teams in the tech sector. So I always joke about the fact that the two roles were in fact surprisingly similar. And that's me.
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, we're here to talk about and explore 100% Club. What's the big idea behind 100? Sorry, my apologies. What's the big idea behind 100% Club? How does it stand out in the evolving coaching world? But also, how does it fit into all the AI developments that are going on at the moment? So, delightful multi-part question, James.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for giving me a really simple opener. So I'll do my best to break that down. So let's start, if I may, with why we exist. What's the problem that we are trying to address? And in simple terms, that is the gap between knowing and doing. We think that's one of the biggest problems in the world, full stop, at this point in time. And the way we characterize that is with something called the activation problem. And what I mean by that is the reason that people often don't hit a goal or achieve a target isn't because they don't know what to do. That's the easier part of it. It's because they're not activated in the right ways to do it. And I have become increasingly aware of that, frustrated, personally, professionally, over many years with that problem, which is what led to me trying to create something to address it. I came to a point I just thought there had to be a better way. There was too much waste going on, too many things which didn't happen, which there was opportunity for them too. So what could we do? What's a more reliable way to get there? And the solution that we came up with is, we believe, a completely new way to deliver behavioral change at scale. And it's something that you can point at anything you like. So any end state, any goal, any target behavior. So whether it be to get fitter, to get a promotion, achieve a team or group target, or even deliver large scale change programs, we don't mind, because what we do is we will create the right conditions to help make those things happen. And it comes in the form of a live change experience. You've alluded to it already, delivered by our 100% Club digital platform, which I'll go on to show you as part of this call and give you some explicit examples as to how it works. And it compels people to act. That's how it addresses the issue. It removes a lot of the friction through activities that we ask people to perform during that experience, which currently get in the way and prevent people from achieving the things that they decide to go after. And why it stands out, moving on to the second part of your complex question, why does it stand out in the coaching world as is? And if you think about what books, what coaching, what seminars and training, as good as they are, the options available at the moment to achieve goals, change behaviors, etc., they often only take you to a certain point. And that point is the point at which people put the book down, or when people choose to leave the room. So what really happens at that point? And quite often it's not as much as people would like, because of life. It gets in the way. It's hard, distraction. So information on its own, even with inspiration, is just not enough in this complex, time-poor world to get people, we think, reliably to where they need to be. That's what our role is. That's where we pick up. And the second part, which makes it stand out in that world, is the fact that what we do doesn't need to in any way compete with the coaching community or training providers. In fact, it's completely the opposite. It actually can connect with it and empower it and give it more of an opportunity to more effectively deliver the things that they want from their teams and from their clients. We simply say that people like coaches, training providers, they can create the direction, what to point this at, but then what we do is we're the delivery vehicle to ensure it happens. And then the final part, the AI piece, which I know is a pet topic of yours, Michael. Now I'm no expert in that, although I am very familiar in the world that I've come from. So we do think we've got what's really a next gen coaching platform here with what I'm about to show you. And what I mean by that is we do two very important things to create that. The first is to enhance the critical human connection element, which coaches, leaders and so on are already doing, but also the opportunity to create big and meaningful insights from that experience. So what I mean by that is the community which we create, and this is a big part of the experience, how we leverage community, delivers the first part that enhances the human connection element of what we do even further. We even believe it creates a sort of tribe mentality. We encourage people to become 100%ers. That's the sort of tribe soundbite to attach to. And then the second part, in terms of what the opportunity is from an insight perspective, is all around the data that the experience creates, the feedback loops, the really rich contextual video content that our experience creates gives a perfect platform for AI, machine learning, automation, combination of all three to really leverage and draw from and get some meaningful insights from. And we do believe that's a big differentiator. So that's the sort of the three-part answer to your opener.
Okay, thank you. A short answer to this one, but it's very top level, okay, which builds on what you've just said. What's the secret sauce of 100% Club, and who gets the most out of it? I've talked about coaches, clients, organizations. Am I right with those three, or is there a different group? So very top level, what's different about you?
Yeah, so the differentiation, first of all, is the live experience, which is really a blend of levers that we use through that experience to compel people to act, to compel people to engage with the content, because we know when they do, great things happen. And that's using a blend of accountability tools. We've talked about one, community is a great one. Big incentives that we offer for people to engage, such as lifelong access and membership to the concept and the platform. We create an immediate return environment, which is fun. It delivers immediate benefits to the individual and those around them, as well as a cumulative build over time to a bigger picture, and simple tools that measure progress. So the combination of all those things together we call levers, and that's what makes us different. So at a client level, the people who would arguably benefit most from it are ones who want change. There's no point pushing water uphill. Those who have tried other things, but maybe they haven't worked to achieve goals or hit targets in the past, or they've had limited impact. And because this is still new, this is a new concept, those who are willing to give it a try, an early adopter type mentality. From a coach perspective, it's those who really want to scale, because this gives them a true vehicle to really scale their businesses without diluting impact. In fact, we'd argue the opposite. It actually enhances the ability for coaches to have impact on their clients and to differentiate against their competition. So people who want those things are perfect for us. And from an organizational perspective, of course, those who want to develop their talent, ones who want to get measurable results and improve the performance of their people, and ideally who understand the current limitations of some of their current approaches to training, which helps as well. And
Okay, cool. Let's again look at the clients you're looking at. What are the real struggles? Very top level, what are the real struggles your target audience face? What are some of the implications of those struggles, i.e. why should they bother to do anything about it? And then have a look again very briefly, but how do you help solve them?
Yeah. So from a client perspective, there are many challenges. We all face them all the time, but distraction is a common one. Lack of motivation, time poverty, both real time poverty and perceived, because they are two very different things for different reasons. Lack of discipline, lack of healthy habits, balance, etc. And of course, if these needs aren't met, we have a term, or I have a term, which is called the misery loop. People going round and round and round because things don't change, right? And that can result in lifelong regrets, being overlooked for promotions at a professional level, depression, burnouts, poor relationships, health, lack of financial freedom, etc. From a coaching perspective, it's client engagement. That can be a challenge for some at certain times, and the ability to make what they do relevant to a wider audience outside of their particular niche or current focus, how they attract and convert the right clients, how they can be a good role model themselves for their clients and maintain their current skill sets, how they can manage high volumes of people simultaneously. This comes back to the scalable aspect, how they can measure impact, how they can demonstrate ROI, differentiate and manage and create community. And for coaches, the implications, if those needs aren't met, are of course a dilution in terms of things like impact, brands, income, longevity, and so on. And at an organizational level, finally, people wanting to address leadership gaps. There's a common belief at a senior exec level that I find that people are concerned that the next gen of leadership or the options for the next group of leaders are maybe not fit for the future in terms of what's coming. That's a concern for people. How they can demonstrate impact again of the coaching and training exercises that they run through their own organizations is a common concern, and general ones here, but they're common and happen a lot, is wanting to collaborate more. People, where's the innovation? Where's the real vision? And unity. So those are the sort of things which we come across at an organizational level, which can result in poor cultures, toxic cultures, reduced ability to deliver change, etc.
Okay, looking at it from the side, again, very top level, how do you help people solve those things?
So for this, I think it'd probably be good just to show you the platform to try and join the dots and illustrate a couple of examples. So if I may, I will request showing my screen here.
That's fine. This may take a few seconds. Yes, that seems to be working.
Okay, and the two examples that I have chosen, which I think will be of interest to the audience, are really, the first, I'm talking about leadership, right, and things like Marshall Goldsmith. So how does this potentially make people better leaders? And then through the lens of a coach as well, especially how it can help them differentiate and how it can help them have more client impact and scale their businesses very specifically. So this whole experience, this is the user dashboard that you can see in front of you. This is the digital platform that we've created on both mobile and desktop. And it's all about defining these goals. So what is the number one priority personal goal, professional goal, business team or group goal that you have, or a combination of all of those together, ideally linking together and supporting one another. Now, we have a process that we take people through to help them get clarity on that and definition, or as a coach, you might want to do that with your clients independently, and then you lock it in, or as a business, do the same. And it's all about getting those locked in. It's really, really important for those to be really meaningful and tangible to everyone. So as well as that, before people start, what they do is we take them through a process to baseline across all of these 10 different life category areas between 1 and 100. So a subjective score to say, this is where I believe I'm at currently in each of these areas. We lock it in, this gives you 100% club score. And then the whole experience is about using all of the behaviors, the opportunities, the results, the activities in each of these areas that you perform as you go through have on your ability to impact and deliver the hard yards and do the necessary activities required, defined up here, to hit these 3 goals, or at least get the right momentum and trajectory towards hitting them. Because some goals, it's not as important whether you actually hit them or not, it's the direction of travel, so they're not toxic, etc. But that varies. And that's basically the process at a very high level. Everybody starts on the same category. So everyone starts doing energy and motivation. There are 10 tasks in each of the 10 categories. So 10 times 10, obviously 100 tasks over 100 days. We don't police any of this at all. So we know people will use these things in different ways. It's a shared experience. So it's one of the things which helps with the community. So fundamentally, everyone's doing the same thing, but how they apply each one of these tasks to their own lives, and how they point it or not at these goals is of course very different. That's highly personalized, and people can go through it at their own pace. They can do put as much or as little effort into each as possible. Obviously, the more you put in, the better. The more you put in, the more you get out of it. But they can go through at their own pace. They can do one a day. It's designed to do one a day, and make that possible. But we know that's not realistic for everybody. So you might have a gap of a few days and then do a few and catch up. Doesn't matter. You go through a series of checkpoints. We buddy people up through the process. That also helps with the accountability. And we see tangible, measurable progress in these areas along the way, and in terms of getting closer to hitting these goals. And as I keep saying, you can point this at anything you like. And what happens from a leadership perspective is, and from my people have different views on this, I'm sure, but to be a good leader in my mind, you need to be able to lead from the front, lead from the sides, sometimes lead from the back, let people fail, but just be there to catch them. You need to exercise humility. You need to be able to be willing and able to give and receive feedback. You need to be able to be seen to make hard decisions, etc., etc., etc. The process and these activities naturally surface and develop all of those behaviors anyway. Some of them explicitly go after those things. Some of them just create opportunities for things which are difficult or things which people are scared of to do, and to do it in plain sight. And the community comes in whereby people post video diary entries. That's some of the very rich data that I talked about earlier on. And they post against the community, and people support and help one another throughout the process, even though they're aiming at a different thing. So that's how it all sort of comes together. And from a coaching perspective, the beauty about this that we've tried to design is you can take this as a white labeled product, which we'll come back to a bit more in a second, and badge it as your own. So James Wallace Enterprises, badge that up here, powered by 100% Club. I, with my clients, can then decide what to point it at, and go through the process. For example, the Marshall Goldsmith process that you might want to take people through in terms of defining what behavior or behaviors to affect, what that looks like, how we're going to measure it, who the stakeholders are, how we're going to get feedback, how we're going to get feed forward, lock it all in, and then run people through this ready-made program. But if you want to, as a coach, you can say, actually, over time, I want to swap out some of the content. I want to thread my own activities, new activities in here as well, so that you can customize it as much or as little as you want. But it's ready to go now as a standalone product is the point. So hopefully that clarifies how it works in terms of both of those two examples.
Cool, brilliant. Thank you very much. So can we stop the screen share? Brilliant. You're getting too good at this, James.
Gradually.
That's really good. So bringing us back from that, I'm absolutely convinced of the long-term value of this, but because people need to justify it and all this sort of thing, what's some low-hanging fruit? What are some things that people can get to fairly easily when they start?
Well, naturally, I talked about an immediate return environment. Yeah. A lot of the activities that people perform, if they do them, immediately give some benefit. It takes them out of their comfort zone. It gives them an opportunity to, try something, for example, in a professional capacity that they hadn't done before. And that feels good. They get an immediate benefit from that, and then that makes them hopefully want to do more and go again and build. And there are things which also people can notice. Some of the tasks are around attempting things like altruistic acts, even if such a thing actually exists, doing something purely for the benefit of someone else and not yourself. Good things happen when you do that, and when you do that in plain sight, and when you do it within a community. And that gives you a lot more, both in the short term and the long term, than if you obviously hadn't done it. And even doing the video posting, some people really love it immediately. Some people hate it, but as soon as they get into it, pretty much every single person does love it. And it gives them so many things immediately, such as catharsis around what's happened, to them during the day, or just gives them an opportunity to learn more about other people, form relationships with other people in the community. There's so many layers to this and so many aspects, both immediate and long term. From a low-hanging fruit and otherwise perspective, but every activity is designed to give you something immediate as well as something a a bit longer term. And what I will say, if I may, is
Yeah.
hopefully it's clear why this works, or at least how it could work for people. But I always try to frame this in terms of a question, which is, when am I most likely to do the hard yards necessary to achieve any one of the goals or targets that we talked about earlier on? Is it when you're at your happiest? Is it when you're physically fittest? When you have mental clarity? When you feel as though you've got some sort of balance, whatever that means? When you're being creative? I could go on. Or is it when all of those things come together? And hopefully you'll agree it's the latter. And the compound effect of developing each one of those areas, both quickly and by developing habits over time, has a huge impact on your ability and desire to go and do the necessary to achieve the three things that we're pointing this at. So I just wanted to make that really clear, if I may.
No, that's right. And I have to say, from my point of view, one of the success models I work with people on is how do they use their time, their energy, and their focus. Because as you rightly said, we have lots of distractions. And I think that the system you've built in actually help with those three things. And they're non-trivial. It's in lives, how we invest our time, energy, and focus makes a lot of difference, and they are under our control, although everybody tries to steal them. So my view is you are giving people something that will help with that. So thank you for that. Let's move on. Because I say in my coaching, both my NLP coaching and my Marshall Goldsmith coaching, the secret is actually choosing the right clients, for all sorts of reasons. So who are the people that will get the best from what you're offering? What are some of their characteristics that you can say you could, I'm not asking you to, but that you could almost guarantee they'll get good results? What do your clients need to do to ensure they get the best results from what you're offering?
Yeah, ideally, there has to be a bit of trust here. Trust the process. Hopefully, seeing what I've just shown you at least makes sense, so that there can be the beginnings of some real belief here. You're not going to get the impact. You're not going to get the results until you do it. Simple as that. We can't sit here and just talk about it. So there has to be some trust, and you have to commit to the process as a result and actively engage. And that leads on to the second point, really, which is just do the first 10 days, and we'll come to the offer in a bit, but do the first 10 days and do them, pun intended, 100%. Give it your all, because if you do that, you leave nothing on the table. You get the momentum. You start to form the habits. You absolutely will feel some significant immediate impact, and it will vary for everyone. Everyone gets something different from it, and you'll be really clear on what this is about and what's required, and have the momentum then to accelerate out of that. Because the second part of it is we deliberately make the first 10 days harder, because from both a time perspective, in terms of how much time you need to put into it, but also how uncomfortable it is, even though it's not that uncomfortable, but by definition, to make progress, you have to be willing to go out of your comfort zone a little bit. So that begins to really happen mostly in the first 10 days. So do that, do it well, and actually the rest of it will almost take care of itself. If you start off in the wrong way, which is not giving the first 10 days 100%, well, guess what happens. So that's sort of what happens. And the final bit is, I alluded to it earlier on, you've got to point it at the right things. There's no point doing this experience if you're going to point it at something that's either just going to happen anyway, or isn't slightly hard, or isn't something that you really, really want, or that's going to solve and address a problem that is really meaningful to you or someone else. And getting that right is really, really important. And then from an onboarding perspective, we like to think it's very simple. You simply choose when you want to start. You get in touch with us. You book in your start date. We give you system access, a guided sort of tour, very simple to set up and do what I showed you in terms of locking the goals in. And then you crack on. You trigger day one, and you let the process take over and complete the 100 days.
Okay, that's cool. What I want you to do, and this is a question I haven't talked to you about, so I appreciate I'm putting you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, because you've talked about that, and I think you're absolutely right from an individual's point of view. And of course, the same things apply to the other groups. But if you're an organization looking to take this on, what's important about the attitude you go in with, again, to make it work?
Yeah, very good question, actually. So obviously the things I've just talked about are still important. But an organization will invariably want something in return, right? That's why they're paying for it. That's why they're sponsoring it. So we're really coming down to that third goal, that business, that team, that group goal. There is no point that being set in isolation with no ability for the team or group who's going to be pointed at it having any input.
Yeah.
There needs to be a discussion across the group, a sensible adult discussion about what that is, what it looks like, and trying to get people to absolutely be on board with attempting to hit it. So they're signed up to it, and if not, at least a clear belief and understanding as to why that's being put in place. So that's an important part of the process, and that needs to be done very, very well to get people pointed in the right direction and signed up to doing it.
Yeah. Okay. And from a coach's point of view, and again, we've got coaches that are independents and coaches that are part of coaching groups. So you can answer this for either one or both of those.
Yeah.
What should a coach think about? Again, they may want to try it, as you said, to get a feel of the platform.
Yeah.
But if they're going into this as a coach, looking at not for them, but to grow their business using it, what do you think some of the thoughts they need to have to make the very best out of it?
Well, I was going to say,
You can say it's the same.
Is that really what I mean? I mean, as you said, you need to, and we'll come to this in the offer.
Yeah.
I think the offer tidies a lot of this up as to how that can work. If you want the things that I talked about earlier on, if you want differentiation against your immediate and beyond competitors in the coaching market, if you want to genuinely have even more impact on your clients, and if you really want an opportunity to scale, and of course what comes with all of that is the opportunity to increase income, then it's something to look at, because that's something that we can absolutely help you with. So yeah, whereas if you don't want those things, you don't, it's, well, okay, why else would you potentially want it? You might want it for you as an individual, perhaps, because I do believe it has a positive impact on your ability to back to the good role model part, being, sorting your own stuff out, if you like, and being seen to be a good role model in plain sight. It absolutely will help with that. But those are the things that I would say.
No, that's absolutely right, and I'm quite clear there is a very strong proposition for each of the three areas. Okay, let's move on to that. Let's look at the practicalities. What are the options for an individual that would like to start with this or take it to the next step? What are the options for a company that would like to take it to the next step? What are the options for a coach if they'd like to take it to the next step?
Okay, so again, I'll break it down into those three areas, as you said.
Yeah.
But to be clear, each paid for user gets the following things out of the box anyway, which is the 100-day experience times one, ongoing access, lifetime access to the platform, access, and the community. And also the opportunity, if they successfully complete, and the way we determine that is based upon high engagement scores, and I won't go into that now, but it's all around engaging with it, because we know when people engage, good results happen. The opportunity, if they successfully complete, to earn unlimited experiences, so they can go again and again and again, pointing the 100 days at different outcomes every single time, completely free of charge, as well as a funded place. This is our CSR part. A funded place to gift someone of their choosing from an underprivileged background. So that's what every paid for user either gets or gets the opportunity to have. So now let's go into the actual offers. So from an individual perspective, if when people reach out to us as an individual to say, we'd like to go ahead with this, or go ahead with the free trial, and so on, as long as they cite this session, this Michael Beale LinkedIn live session, what we'll do is, as well as giving them a 10-day free trial to make up their mind to see if this is for them or not before paying. If they then do pay, which I'll come to in a second, we'll also give them a full money back guarantee if they engage positively throughout the experience, but for whatever reason are unhappy at the end. So that's something that we'll give everybody anyway. This is normally up to £3,600 per person, and if they cite you and this call when they speak to us, we'll give the first 10 people price point of £1,000 per person. So that's the offer for the individuals. The offer for companies, which there's no cap on because this is how we operate anyway at the moment, is payment by results. So companies for the first 10 people only will pay the full price, £3,600 per person, or commit to doing it, should I say, but they will only pay us if they are happy at the end. And if for whatever reason they're not happy, they don't pay us. They determine what happiness looks like. And if our relationship continues after we've proven value at that level, there's opportunities to scale massively beyond that in a way whereby you dilute the price points significantly to as low as £400 per person based upon scale and volume and commitment, all that sort of stuff. And that will give you a customizable version again. So their own L&D departments or training providers can use it and customize it. It has the capacity to run thousands of concurrent users at the same time from within the same business. And then finally, the white label offer that I talked about earlier on from a coaching perspective. So just to be clear, in my world, what a white label means is your own branded, again, fully customizable version of the product straight away, but it is standalone, ready to go, as I said anyway, so you don't have to customize it. And my commitment is for the first 10 people that reach out to me, they can work directly with me as the CEO and founder of this until I've proven to them the following things: a clear path to scale their business, to differentiate against their competitors, and to deliver more individual client impact. And as part of this, we'll be inviting those coaches to choose one other person from wherever, one of their clients, one of their family members, friends, doesn't matter, another coach to go through or begin to go through the 100-day process together so they can experience it themselves firsthand. And only if and when they are happy do they then move to a paid subscription model, which starts at £200 per month per coach. But it's all the way it goes up is all based upon concurrent usage. So if you want to license it for lots of people, you end up paying lots more. But if you don't want to license it for that many people, you stay at the starting tariff, which I've just described there. And to be considered, you're going to send out a note, I know, at the end, Michael, or to learn more, or to book a free trial, whatever, either visit the website, which is just 100%.club, all written words, so no numbers, no percentage sign, so 100%, all one word, .club, or contact me at james@100%.club directly, or find me on LinkedIn. And I know, again, you'll be providing those details.
Okay, yeah, I'll drop a note out about those things. A question before I get you to sum up. One of the things that's in the back of my mind with my coaching, because I normally coach people for my coaching and training. I coach people for 6 months, but some people I work with for 2 or 3 years. And there are benefits for doing both, because one can be a sort of short sprint, one can be longer on ongoing development, and they work very well for different people depending on where they are on their, I'm going to say life journey, but you can use different words. What I'm interested in, because when I first came across the 100% club and the 100 days, I thought short-term sprint. But in essence, my view is learning is lifelong and our development is lifelong. So I'm curious in your mind how you balance those two things, and where not where you're pitching, that's the wrong word, but where are you working at both markets?
So we absolutely are working at both markets. So I am going to give you a bit of a layered answer, because there's a few.
No, that's absolutely fine.
So the reason that we've decided on 100 days, first of all, isn't just a marketing thing. It works well. It's the fact that if you look at research, the common belief is that habits start to form around the 30-day mark. But more deep-rooted behavioural change starts to really get affected around the 90-day mark. So that explains roughly the 100-day piece. But what we're saying is the changes, the habits that form during that time are hopefully lifelong and can be revisited, because the idea is that you'll have lifelong access to the environment. And if you engage really well, then you will go again and again and again, potentially at different times, maybe in a year, maybe in 6 months, and point at something else, or just refresh. So that's the lifelong aspect to it. It is perpetual. And from a coaching perspective, the customizable version, the next version of that will allow you to change the not only number of categories and types of categories that you saw on the platform, but actually the duration. So you'll be able to shorten that to 30 days, or you'll be able to shorten that to lengthen it to shorten it again, lengthen it to an 18-month program. That's completely up to you. So hopefully I've answered that. There's lots of aspects to it, but we absolutely are creating something for both. We are, one of our slogans, if you like, which explains what we do, is a coach for life for everyone. And double meaning to that is, you could argue some of what we're doing is a coach for people's lives, but it is also designed to be for life. It is ongoing, is the point.
Okay, brilliant. And the bit I'm going to add to that, because we've covered quite a lot of stuff in the time we've been speaking, and as I do in my own training, my own NLP training and coaching, and my own Marshall Goldsmith stuff, there's a lot of difference between the theory and talking about it and absolutely doing it. So if you do have a genuine interest in it, there's no point in doing it if you don't have a genuine interest, but you do have a genuine interest, do seriously think about the trial, because the only way you'll really find out whether it's right for you is by doing it.
Absolutely.
So that is my thought, and I have gone through it myself, and I have found it really valuable. And one of the reasons I invited James here today is I think that once people sort of get into it, they'll see there's all sorts of possibilities of this format for other areas which are particularly related to their context.
Yes.
So I'm looking at this as very much the start of yet another adventure. Sorry, I'm looking at this as the start of yet another adventure. And if I go back from my point of view, it's to help people with accountability, to help people with developing a community, to help in the cases of coaches, but also scaling other stuff, because it's scaling learning in a company, but it's scaling a coaching's business. And even from an individual, if you do the community pickup, you'll pick up new friends, etc., because you're on a journey with like-minded people. So as I say, I look at this as you've actually got to throw yourself into the water to learn about it. And I think many people that do that will suddenly begin to realize that this format can offer all sorts of solutions for the future, which, as I say, is why I'm interested in it. So that's my view. But James, would you like to summarize what are the really top level things you'd like to leave people with?
Okay, so there are a few. The sort of the slightly more facetious one is saying do the 10-day trial as the first one, do the 10-day trial as the second one, and do the 10-day trial as the third, because I can talk about it all day long, unfortunately for those still listening. But the best way is to experience it for yourself. But what I'd like people to leave it with, again, if it's not clear, is you really can point this at anything, because what our role is to not educate people so much that there is some potential learning and some training, whatever in there, in terms of what to do to get there. That's for the people to do. It is about creating the right conditions, the wider life conditions for those things to happen. That's the biggest thing to leave people with, I think, almost. And when you go through it, what will happen to you may surprise you. One of the biggest things which surprises people when they go through it is, yes, it's a commitment. Yes, you have to put time and effort into this, but actually it buys you time back fairly quickly, because people start to make better decisions. People start to learn how to prioritize certain things in their lives better. They become more effective, so they have more impact on the things that they do, etc., etc. I can go on. There's lots of aspects which buy people back time as a result of doing it, as well as all of the other things which you've just talked about and I have. And then the final very quick couple of points would be, just be honest with yourself. What other options are available to you as of today that on their own really do work, or really do work for you, or have worked for you? Question mark. And what happens if you do nothing, right? Funnily enough, nothing, no change. Again, if you're after change, you need to do something about it. So act, I think, take action is the message.
Okay, James, thank you very much indeed. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm going to close it. I will send a note out to everybody that's the first connection, which will be most of the people watching, as to all the contact details of James and all that sort of stuff. Again, thank you very much for attending. The next LinkedIn Live we're going to be doing is with the CEO of Marshall's coaching arm, where we're going to look at leadership and team coaching together, because we think there is a huge opportunity in that. However, let me again thank James. I think this, as I say, I'm asking people to present on these things because I think they have something special to offer. Obviously, you make up your own mind whether it's for you or not. But James, I really appreciate it. I'm fascinated how you get on with this, because I think it's in a space where many people are not covering. And I am planning to invite you back in 3 or 4 months, and we'll see how it's moved forward.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Okay. Thanks a lot, folks.